I'm Steve Lawrence. I'm the Managing Director of EEVT Limited. I'm also the co-founder of the Federation of Business and Education Consultants, and also involved with the BAME Apprenticeship Awards. And I sit on, I think it's 8 governance committees, so quite busy with lots of different things going on. And I've been in the industry now for about 4 to 6 years. A very good question. As I'm old myself, it's an area that I think there are lots of problems, and those problems really lie with the person who is perceiving what ageism is. And what I mean by that is, you've obviously got some people when they think, oh, I like an older person because they might be wiser. I like an older person because they may have lived a lot and have a lot of knowledge. They may have seen a lot of problems. They might have had experience and abilities and skills throughout their working life. However, on the other side of the coin, they may be people who are looking at it and saying, I want somebody who's younger, much more funky, much more into, shall we say, flexibility, much more blue sky thinking, and around the productivity they may believe there's going to be a difference between a younger and an older person. I don't think they are. I think it's one of those hidden things that it's in the subconscious and it happens without being really discussed. And I think, as we discussed in your previous question, there may be a definition of what they're looking for, and that definition is sort of looked at in relationship to the job. And by that, what do I mean? I suppose I mean, if you look at someone like B&Q, they tend to take on older people because that's a corporate viewpoint, that people like older people who may have the experience of do it yourself, may have the knowledge of working on different areas such as building, construction and so forth, and so therefore they've got that lifetime experience. Whereas if you're looking at someone in the city or someone who's in a very funky training, they'll be looking at a younger person and they'll be looking at someone to give them a lot of, shall we say, highlight activity. And they'll be looking at the productivity and the flexibility of that person to do several different. Being a 70-year-old, yes, I must have experienced it in different ways. As I said before in the introduction, I work on about 8 governance committees. And I think a lot of that, working on the governance side, they've been looking for someone older, and they've been looking for someone that has that, if you like, lifetime experience. I also think that way back about 20 odd years ago, about 22 years ago, I was going to work for Reading Partnership, a very large organisation, and I felt at the time there was a lot of pretty young people running around, and I think that I slipped through the net, and I managed to land the job maybe through my local knowledge rather than my age. And I felt like I was the grandfather with a lot of teenagers who were popping in and out from school to speak to me and just check on whether they were on the right track. And that was a very interesting time, but I think there's also this perception with younger people about being older, and I think a lot of us get that even when we're at 16, 17 or 18. We think, oh, 40, that's really old, and then they get to 40 and they think, Oh, 60, that's really old. um, so yes, I have experienced it in the past, but not in a bad way, I'd say. Great question. I think some of that is how they're in their situation of becoming a manager. How did they become a manager? And if they came up in a mixed age team, they most probably are quite able and willing to deal with it, and they quite understand, if you like, the matrix of age. If you look at somebody who's, if you like, been popped into the position straight out of university, there'll most probably be a different reaction to older workers. And I think there's, if you like, a side of training whereby, if you look at something like CPD, people look at the older learner as perhaps being the last in the line to get CPD. Right, I suppose I'm going to go through what I call my Lzone. I see the Lzone as what I call the loyalty zone. And what does that mean? That means that you're most probably going to get much more from an older worker, because they will have much more in-depth buy-in to a company, be that an organisation that's small or be that an organisation that's large. They will have that, if you like, loyalty to go that extra mile. They'll have that ability through their loyalty to do that, if you like, thought process of bringing things to the table. And everybody talks about youngsters who have got fresh ideas, new ideas, and so forth. But also, if you bring into an industry, and you're talking there about, say, IT and tech, you're bringing in someone from, say, the hospitality or the retail industry, and they are an older worker, they most probably have seen several different, shall we call them, challenges, and they see the way around those challenges that can be done with technology. This may be through, they've worked in a situation where they've actually been using quite a lot of technology, but you as the client in hospitality don't actually see that technology they're using. So it's an interesting thing that it's like the benefits of hiring an older person are there if you look for them.